Welcome to Fitness Casual. We help you ditch diets and build habits. I'm Andrew Hayes, and with me is my ride or die business partner, Kat Best.
Hello, everyone.
Kat, we're talking about me today. I'm partly kidding. These are mostly lessons for our listeners, but it is built on my experience. We've known each other now for, I believe it's almost 3 years. What was your first impression of me?
So I believe you slid into my DMs asking a question about creatine for
That's
your
correct.
wife.
That's correct.
So I was like, so cool that this guy is like curious about stuff for his wife. Like, I just thought it was like awesome that you asked that question. And then I didn't like think too much of it. And then I remember you kind of followed up with more like asking some sort of like business or like nutrition related questions. And then you sent me a deck and I was like, whoa, like what's going on? Like, I did not know. And you really wanted my opinion, and like no one has ever really wanted my opinion before. So I was really like, you know, part of me is also skeptical of like, what's the angle? Like, what does he want? But also like, there was no angle. You just wanted feedback or, you know, ideas and whatever. And I thought that was so cool. You know, and then we kind of like started talking from there. But to me, you always came off as someone like super genuine, very caring, and like very interested in like building something with integrity. And, you know, like you cared a lot about feedback, which for me, I'm someone who like, I would pretend I like feedback, but I kind of can't handle criticism. Whereas you were, I kind of like, you know, I wouldn't say I like ripped it apart, but I kind of gave you a lot of reasons why like things wouldn't work. Because that was my genuine opinion, and it wasn't like, you want to work with me and hear why not. Like, I just gave you my thoughts about things, and you were like, you know, you thought it was really valuable, and I just was still kind of like unsure of like what you were trying to get at. Whereas now I look back, it's like kind of funny. Now I see like what you were trying to figure out, but at the time I was really just like, wow, this guy like really is just like curious, trying to do something awesome, and like you're also like relentless at the follow-up, and which you are. Like, you are a follow-up person, but like very few people in my life that I didn't know personally like keep coming back to check in and like see how things are going and like get feedback on certain things. So like to me that was you know, really impressive, but also showed me like how much you cared. And the, you know, till this day, I still think you're someone who like, you care a lot. You're super genuine. Like, you have very high emotional intelligence as well, which I would say like is kind of rare for a man.
I would agree.
But you've always come off to me as like, you know, very impressive in those angles.
Wow.
So yeah. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, if you ever reach out to me for help, RIP to your SMS, your messages, because I will not. I don't care if you work with us or not. Genuinely, this is what I tell everyone. I was like, I just care that you take action. I actually have on my list today to follow up with someone who I talked to a few weeks ago who said they were going in a different direction. I'm going to text and be like, have you done it yet? And I'm going to text you again every week to make sure you've done it, because I have been on a journey myself where I have kicked this can down the road for a really long time. And so that's what I want to share today. So thank you for that. I will reciprocate, by the way. We should maybe say this for your version of this episode, but that's the first time we ever got on a phone for like a work capacity, not for a coaching capacity. I was like, I have all these ideas. And you were just like, tell me how you're going to do anything different in a space like that's super crowded, full of everyone who thinks they're the best. And I was like, nice. Tell me like I need to hear it. This is perfect. So yeah, that's funny. I remember those days well, and yeah, we've come a long way.
Yeah, we had a lot of like little chats before we, you know, turned it into a thing.
That's right. And then you worked with my wife, who was very much the poster child for our business early on. Shout out to Leah. Thank you for that. The results were real, and I appreciate her letting us use that. Okay. Well, today I'm going to go over 5 life-changing lessons from my 15-year health journey, and I want to talk about 2 things up front. One is that I am a fitness professional now, which is kind of weird to say. But I got in the best shape of my life while still working at my high stress jobs in major cities. So yes, now I have all the flexibility in the world, although I still manage to find excuses to miss the gym like everyone else. But nothing I share here is out of touch with the people listening. Like, I assume if you're listening to this, you don't run your own business and can work out when you feel like it. You probably have a 9-to-5 or you're a stay-at-home mom or something that really impacts your schedule. So everything I'm going to say is applicable to that. I don't want you to think that like I don't know what you're going through. And then the other thing is, Kat, we typically on this podcast focus on small steps that make a big difference. Bite-sized habits, one thing at a time. The 5 lessons that I'm going to share are, some of them are quite major. I don't expect you to go make all of these earth-shattering changes to your life today. I just want to plant the seed on some things that you maybe haven't thought about based on my experience. You might even call these hot takes, and that's okay. The goal is that in a week from now or a month from now, it's still kind of living rent-free in your head, and you're like, oh yeah, that thing that Andrew talked about, like that. I see what he's saying now. So don't just go do all of these things. Number one is going to be talking about maybe changing your career. And so don't like quit your job tomorrow based on my experience, but you should give it some thought because I have been on a journey myself.
Yeah. I think Andrew is a lot more relatable to the everyday person than myself, because you've had a corporate job, like you weren't as interested in this from like a young age like I was. So I think like your story is really fascinating and kind of, you know, you've really made a big change in your life from how you used to be.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, you're the best coach. I've seen you coach busy parents, stay-at-home moms, like corporate execs, you name celebrities, newscasters, like you name it. I think you are an amazing coach, and that it doesn't matter whether you've been through the same experience as them. You can relate to them. But yes, I think that for a while I had some imposter syndrome as a coach.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not in powerlifting competitions, and I'm not like most people don't scroll through Instagram and be like, I want to look like that guy more than anything. You know, I'm proud of my body, but like I understand that. But it's actually, I think, become my biggest strength, in that if I can do it, you can do it too. And so that's kind of the point of today's 5 lessons. And I can dive in. So number 1, and again, these might feel like hot takes, and sure. Number 1 is your job isn't as important as you think. And I want to share a story there too that really shaped my childhood, which is my dad worked at the same job for 30 years, and then he got let go just a few years before retirement. And so if you know the corporate world well, you know that the further you ascend up the ladder, the harder it is to find a job. And so if you lose your job when you're 50s and you're a VP or CEO or whatever, like you're going to have a really hard time landing on your feet again. When you're 25, there's a million jobs out there. Even when you're 35, there's a million jobs out there. But people are not dying to pay someone a 6-figure salary and be like a really high exec. There's plenty of people fighting for those jobs. And so it really shattered my family. It was like I was in college. We no longer had a big income from his job. We had to move. We had to sell our house. We had to rent like a tiny little house. Like it really changed our lives forever. And it was also just really sad because like, you know, maybe I should just have my dad on this podcast to talk about his experience, but like he really committed his life to his employer. And then one day they're just like, see you later. And that sucks. And so I think from day one for me, I was like, all right, this company is whatever they say and whatever they do, they don't actually care about me. And maybe there's a person in a position of power now who does genuinely care about you, but that person might not be there tomorrow. And then you're toast. And this has happened to me. This happened to my wife. My wife moved across the country, got a new job with her manager, and then she took a new job like 2 months later. So like it happens. But the reason I want to bring this up isn't just because you could get burned by your employer, because you can, but I think so many of us, especially if you went to college, you kind of fall into your career by accident. You graduate college, you're 22, you're like, I don't really know what I want to do. Maybe I want to work in marketing, or maybe I want to work in consulting, but like you don't actually know. And then you blink and this has become your career for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And it's important to take stock of, is this actually the right journey for me? So ask yourself questions like, what are the 3 most important things to me in my life? And maybe it is making as much money as humanly possible. That might be your number 1 priority, but I doubt it. For me, it was spending time with my kids and my family, having flexibility to go to the gym, travel, golf, see friends, and then having an impact on the world and what I do. And then one day I looked at my job and I was like, I work at Apple. That's super cool, but I'm achieving none of those things. I'm sitting in traffic every day. I'm sitting at a desk. I don't know what impact I'm having at all. And I don't get to work out or play golf or any of the stuff I want to do because I'm chained to my desk. And so it was a really hard conversation with myself. And my health was declining, by the way, of course. It was a really hard conversation with myself to be like, maybe this isn't my dream job. Yes, I feel like I've made it. I went to a mediocre school and got mediocre grades and got a mediocre job out of college and somehow finagled my way into a tech job, but I still wasn't really achieving my goals. And so I think it's important today to sit down and ask yourself, what is really important? And if you're not 70 years old and staring retirement in the face, it's not too late to make a change. And you don't have to do it tomorrow, but it is important to start to maybe think about what those changes might look like.
People tell me I'm lucky because I work for myself or I have like time to do stuff in the middle of the day, and there's nothing that drives me more crazy than that statement, because like I made that happen. That was my choice. Like I could have gotten a lot of other jobs that, you know, maybe paid me more money or were more secure over time, but I, you know, really didn't want to have a boss. Like I had one my first job out of college, and then I didn't like how that felt, and I kind of made a promise to myself of like, if I don't have to do this, I won't. But when people give me that like, oh, you're so lucky, like you're not like, you can do stuff in the middle of the day, like it's so offensive, because I've worked so hard to create this option for myself, and I'm sure it's really hard to go from a pretty established career and then kind of reverse that. But you know, it just goes to show of like having flexibility and also like no one telling you what to do and being able to make an impact and like everything is positive, like that's really like profound quality of life upgrade, even if you're making less money.
Exactly. And I went on a rant in our New Year's episode about this topic, but your health is so important, and I think too many people don't realize that until they're close to rock bottom. They have a near-death scare, or they're in so much pain that they can't get up in the morning, whether that's figurative or physical. And your job is often the reason for that. And we talk to so many people who are just like, oh, and I'm so busy with this, and my job is so important. And it's like, I hate to call out particular industries, but like you're a consultant. You know, it's not that important. If you're a physician or something, maybe we can split hairs there. But most people's job like isn't life or death. The only person whose like death is on the line is your own. And so I think it's really important to be self-reflective about that. Again, don't quit your job tomorrow. You have bills to pay. I'm not out of touch there. I understand that. But maybe if you took a pay cut, you would spend less money and actually be happier and healthier, because that's exactly what I went through. Is like I stopped buying shoes, and I reduced our childcare and got rid of our dog walker and all these expenses that I honestly didn't really need. I just had them because I could afford them. Going out to dinner all the time, you know, now I enjoy eating at home more. It is not that hard to make a change, assuming it's aligned with what you want. So just don't feel like your job is the only thing.
Exactly.
Cool. And if you need help with this, navigating this, by the way, let me know. I went on this journey myself, went from side hustle to full-time job and kind of everything in between. So it's been a really long journey for me, but happy to chat with anyone about that. Okay. So that's number one, is your job is important as you think. And again, I know that sounds like a hot take, but just think about it. Number two is what you eat every day impacts everything in your life. And Kat, in addition to just generally making an impact in our clients' lives, this is my favorite thing about what we do, is that I think 99.9% of people don't realize that food is really the key to almost everything. Yeah. Does it make you gain weight, lose weight, build muscle, look good? Yeah, of course, all of those things. And that's, what drives a lot of people to our program. But I think at the end of our program, people are like, I mean, we could go on with the list of things that we've done. Like people have skin health issues. We coached 2 clients who were engaged and then they broke up and now they're engaged again. Like we're not going to take full credit for that, but like you think those aren't related. I promise you they are. And so I don't like to make crazy claims, especially on calls with people who are interested in the program. I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to cure your depression. But like we hear that a lot. People are like, this was a really hard time in my life and I didn't realize how much my diet was affecting my mood and my sleep, and like all of this stuff is connected. And sometimes the doctor is really going to help you, but also sometimes they're just going to write you a prescription and you're not looking at the root cause, which is what we talked about in the episode a few weeks ago. And so what you eat, you have no idea how much that is affecting everything you do, your ability to work, being a patient parent, being a good friend, being motivated to try new things, feeling adventurous, feeling confident. Like it's all tied to your diet and your lifestyle choices. And I hope people, again, don't reach rock bottom until they realize that. Because for me, it's like, I did not think I was going to be running my own business 3 years ago. Focusing on my own health made me a different person, more motivated, more confident. And it's like, now we run our own company. That's super cool. And I promise you, I wouldn't have been able to do that without hiring a health coach. And I know that sounds extreme, but it's not.
There's such an aha moment when people connect what they eat and how they feel. And it doesn't happen right away. Like sometimes we'll have people in the program for like 3 months, 4 months, and then all of a sudden like something happens. They like go like on a weekend bender, eat a bunch of shit, drink a bunch of alcohol, and they're like, oh my God, I feel so bad. I cannot believe this is how I used to feel all the time. So sometimes like it takes time to uncover that, but that's also a mindset shift and a choice. Some people, you know, try to be healthy for the wrong reasons. They don't make that connection. But once you like feel it, that is like the profound switch, I think, that makes you like actually want to eat healthy and prioritize these things because you want to feel good. But you have to do it enough or kind of fake it for long enough till you actually start to feel better, and then it will click. But right off the bat, like if you eat, you know, a salad one time, like you're not going to be feeling incredible right away. You just got to keep going. But that's like such a big shift a lot of our clients make. And like for me, that's like my number one thing. Like I always want to feel good. And like when you treat your body that way, and it's kind of like just self-respect, is eating food that makes you feel good, like that carries over towards so many other things in your life as well. Relationships, like mental health, like all of that stuff is wrapped up in what you eat.
Exactly. And we talked a little bit about our origin story earlier at the start of the podcast, but when you were doing training full time, we first started talking, you were running all over New York City, training all kinds of successful people at all hours of the day. And there's no way you wouldn't have been able to do that if you weren't, as you always say, focusing on health. You stopped drinking, you prioritize healthy eating so you could feel your best. And like, you were a really, really good trainer. And that's how you become a good trainer. Obviously, correct me if I'm wrong because I wasn't there, but like, you weren't good at marketing and sales. You were just really good at your job because you had your own health in check. And that led to your success.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was like, okay, these are the things I'm going to ask my body to do all day long. So I have to like get enough sleep and pack my food in little Tupperwares every single day and eat on the sidewalk of New York City. But that's what it is. Like, too bad. That's like what I had to do to like excel in that career. But I also know a lot of trainers who treat themselves like absolute dog shit and blame their busy schedule or the fact they have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning for the reasons they feel terrible. Like, you know, that's perspective.
And that is a great segue into number 3. So number 2 was what you eat every day impacts everything in your life. Number 3 is you're not too busy. You just need to reprioritize. And I want to be careful with this because we never shame people. Everyone is busy, and I totally understand what you mean. But it's important not to let busy become an excuse to never focus on your health. And one example is I'm tracking my food right now, first time in, I think, a year or two. And it takes less than, I've been timing it. It takes less than 5 minutes. Like, how many things in your life can you do in less than 5 minutes? Like, it's really not that hard. It just feels hard because you have already stacked your day with too many things. To add another thing feels like a burden. So don't think of it as adding another thing. Think of it as reprioritizing. Are you scrolling on Instagram? Are you spending 20 minutes in bed when you could just get up? Like, you know, all of these things. I will often track my food in bulk. I'll do like breakfast, lunch, and a snack at like 2 p.m. I'll just take 5 minutes and go do it every day. Doesn't take long. Those are the types of habits that you need to form in order to reprioritize your health, because with a new identity comes new priorities, and that's okay. And I'll give you an example from the real world, since, as we know, I worked in the real world. When I worked at, I guess I'll just say the name, I worked at Twitter, RIP to Twitter, now called X or whatever. I was on the West Coast retail sales team. And then there was an East Coast retail sales team. And so we had different clients. Like, mine were on the West Coast. I had REI and Levi's, and they had, like, I don't remember, Walmart and Dick's Sporting Goods or whatever, but same job exactly. We would get in at 9 and leave at 4. And we had, generally speaking, the same revenue. And then they would come in at like New York City time, like 9:30, and then leave at like 8 p.m. And they would also work the whole time. And we were like getting snacks and getting coffee and hanging out. And I also got really good at Pop a Shot, which was in the Twitter office, which is a story for another day. But it's like, we did the same job. The difference was just that we were more efficient. We had our priorities in place of like, I want to go home and I want to take my dog for a walk or see my kids or do the sports league or go to the gym or whatever. And so I'm going to get my stuff done now so I have time for this other thing. And Kat, as you know so well, New York culture is so different. It's like, let's all sit at our desk and pretend we're working for 12 hours a day. And that is a classic example of just not having your priorities straight. So you're not actually busy. And we have so many New York clients who spend hours commuting and hours working that they just really don't need to. You just have to sit and reprioritize. So you're not too busy. It is an excuse. I'm sorry to say that, because everyone is busy, and we can help. We're compassionate coaches, but you need to sit and think about how you can reorganize your day to make time for what's important to you. And obviously in the context of this podcast, that is your health. Because if your health is declining, it's not because you're too busy, it's because you need to reprioritize it.
Totally. And if you're someone who like you work a lot to make money and that's like the main reason you want to work a lot, then use that money to make other things easier for you. Get a meal prep service, get a meal, like use that money towards things that also make it easier for you to be healthy. Because if that's the number one reason you need to work all the time, then you can use that as a tool to get other things done. And that just goes back to priorities. But yeah, the hustle culture in New York City is like so toxic. But on the other hand, it's like, invigorating in a way, because you can work really hard and like get, make more money based on how much you work. Like there is a whole, like I see a benefit to that as well. But ultimately, like I think this city is particularly toxic as far as people just work for the sake of working, not because they're getting stuff done or they're actually being productive. But it's like if I was in the office for 14 hours and you were in there for 8, like I'm working harder than you. And like meanwhile, like it should be complete. Like the person working for 14 hours, I'm sorry, but you're not efficient.
Yeah.
Be more efficient.
Right. You're not working.
Yeah.
And you mentioned hustle culture, and I wanted to bring that up too, because I think when I say busy is, that's not really the excuse. It's more you need to reprioritize. I want to make sure I'm very clear that I'm not saying you need to work harder. In fact, I'm kind of saying the opposite. I think one of the unlocks for me in the corporate world that I definitely do now when I'm self-employed is finding the joy every single day in my life. It's like play video games, go for a walk, like get a coffee, watch junk reality TV. Like just there's so many things you can do in life that aren't productive, and that's okay. What's his name? David Goggins or like Jocko or any of these influencers who are like, every day I get up and I just execute from like 5 a.m. It's like, I totally disagree with that. I mean, if they're happy, then good for them. But like, I think most people actually work too hard already. And if you hit the brakes on trying to cook every meal, fold all your laundry, work your job 12 hours, like, do self-care, like sometimes you need to just hit the brakes and treat yourself. And what you will find is that you're more efficient in every area instead. And so that reprioritization is really important. It's not about working harder. As cliche it is, it's about working smarter.
Yeah, and taking care of yourself. I love that you said like find things that make like spark joy, because that takes the edge off. And it's also sometimes comes back to gratitude. So maybe your daily coffee you have every morning, maybe that didn't spark joy, but if you reframe it of like, wow, it's so nice that I can do this and I love my coffee, like those are moments to, spark some joy. So I think like a little gratitude moment of like, if you think your life is so busy and you like can't make any time for yourself, I bet if you really think about all the things you actually do and like reframe, that can also really help, and then you can reprioritize from there.
Exactly. And I think just on a tactical level, I will give one piece of actionable advice today, just in the terms of reprioritizing if you're too busy. We live in a world, gratitude, one, thank you, Kat, I think that's a great one. We're all just so go every minute of the day that we don't realize how just good we have it so often. But the other thing is we live in a world of distractions, and it's so easy to let a text message, a Slack ping, an email, a whatever take your focus off of whatever else you want to be doing. And Kat, one of the reasons that we are successful in business, in health, in whatever we do is because we set targets and we set clear goals for what we want to do. And this has been something we work a lot on our business coach with, is like, if we have a poor week of revenue or a poor week of like our clients aren't getting the results they want, like we're not going to throw everything out. We're going to make some small changes maybe, but like we have a plan in place that we've been executing on for a long time. And it's important to have that in your day-to-day as well. If you want to go to the gym, then you need to eliminate other distractions that are preventing you from going to the gym. Maybe your boss is putting things on your calendar without asking, we'll fix that. Or maybe you're too busy responding to emails instead. Like you have to figure out a way to eliminate those distractions. So when you lay out 3 or 4 things that have to get done today, you can do it. and I love the example of dropping off your kids. No parent has ever not picked up or dropped off their kids at school. Like, you just have to. It's a number one priority in your life. Like, sure, maybe once in a while you get stuck in traffic or something, but day in and day out, no matter how busy you are there picking up your kid, because you can't leave your kid stranded alone at school. It's the same concept with your health. You have to go to the gym or work out. You have to have time to go grocery shopping. Like, stop letting that not be a priority. You're just letting other distractions seem like they're more important. Mm-hmm. Cool. So that's number 3. You're not too busy. You just need to prioritize. Number 4, I love this one. This will be like a nice contradiction kind of to everything we just talked about, which is, or counterbalance, I should say. Number 4 is that everyone is faking it. And many people have probably come to this realization. Every parent has no idea what they're doing. I have been just generally in the room. I don't know if CEOs well, but I've been in the room with lots of like C-suite executives at big tech companies who make lots of money. And when I tell you that they're faking their way through it, I'm not insulting them. That's just the truth. Like, no one knows what they're doing, and that's okay. The difference between someone like a CEO or a fitness influencer or someone, whoever you're looking up to in this moment, the difference is that they have unwavering confidence in what they're doing. They are messing up just as much as you. They're actually probably messing up on a grander scale than you are. Like, do you know how many missteps I've made in my career, but thankfully no one saw it because I'm not a CEO? You just have to learn from your lessons and continue. And so, like, if you are, whether you're going to the gym or trying to eat healthier or trying to get better at your job, like, just, it's okay to fake your way through it. You just have to believe in yourself that you can do it. And I think so many people put other people on a pedestal, coaches, influencers, business owners, tech executives, and it's like, they're not any better than you. And the more you can be on their level, the more you will succeed in everything you're trying to do. So like Kat and I hope you find us very relatable. That's the whole point of this episode too, is like, I don't have it all figured out at all. And I guarantee that if you want to be in the best shape of your life, or maybe even running your own fitness business in 2 years from now, you totally can. You just have to believe in yourself and know that everyone else is also faking it. Kat, not a day goes by I don't know what I'm doing for our business. That's for sure.
No, totally. Or think about like the first time anyone walked into a gym to lift weights. Like, nobody knows what they're doing. Everyone's insecure. I was insecure at the gym for like years before I started feeling better. That's like a really long time to keep going, keep showing up, keep trying, failing. I used to record myself like doing stuff. Now I look back at those videos, I'm like, oh my God, like what the hell was happening? But over time, like, you build confidence to where now, like, I don't think twice about it. Like, never, it doesn't cross my mind to feel like insecure at the gym for any reason. And I know that's a big barrier for women, especially, to like not want to go to the gym. It's scary, it's intimidating, you don't know what's going on, but nobody does. So the people who get in shape are just people who go through that discomfort and like get out the other side just with experience. I'm reading a book now. It's called The Confidence Gap, because I think for me, like, confidence is where I struggle most. Like, I've come a long way, but there's definitely areas where I struggle. And a big part of it is just like, you lack confidence because you lack experience or the skill. So you're new to something, or you just haven't done it enough. And that's a really good way to just remind yourself, like, yeah, I just kind of have to keep going as if I've done this a lot, and then eventually I'll feel much better about it. But everybody, you know, lacks confidence in certain areas. But yeah, some people are just much easier at faking it than others. And it is really fascinating when you start to like get to know people who are like very, very successful or high achieving, and then you're like, you like what? Like, you are, yeah, they have their insecurities, they have all sorts of issues, and like they definitely don't have everything figured out. So you know, everyone has a lot more in common in that way than they're different.
Exactly. And that's another thing that we love at the end of our program, is building the confidence of our clients. It's not something I lead with. If you book a call with us, it's probably because you want to lose weight, or you have gut health issues, or like you're really struggling in some department. You're probably not like, let me call Kat and Andrew to build my confidence. But as we just laid out, like at the end of the day, I think that actually is one of the underlying issues probably in your health journey, is that you just don't believe that you can do it. Or maybe you're struggling somewhere else. You don't believe in yourself, and that trickles into your journey. It's amazing over the last 10 years how much I've pushed myself in terms of like learning how to scuba dive, go skydiving, taking up golf, Jiu-jitsu's on the list, Kat, as you know.
Hell yeah.
Like, these are things that 15 years ago terrified me. And I had a very fixed mindset of like, oh, I can't do that. And now after this journey, I'm like, you know what? I can figure it out. And maybe I'll suck and maybe everyone's going to laugh at me. And that's my journey right now, learning Spanish. Like when I go to the grocery store and I just practice with the cashier, like they love making fun of me.
Yep.
But I don't care because like I'm learning and like I'm eventually going to be fluent in Spanish. It might take me 5 or 10 more years, but that's how you learn. And it's totally okay because I am confident in the direction that I'm taking and I'm going to fail on the way. And so you have to feel that way about your fitness journey or your business journey. Like, man, it's pretty cringe to look back at some of our early videos and early decisions that we made with Alta, Kat. But now I just know it was part of the journey and I have unwavering confidence that like we continue to love our clients endlessly and we will continue to be successful because of it. And so I hope everyone feels that same thing deep down.
Yeah, totally. And whatever fuck ups or embarrassing moments you've had in your life, no one remembers, no one cares. Only you do. I remind myself of that all the time. I'm like, literally no one cares. Like about all the stuff that is inside my head that I'm worried about. Like not a single person gives a shit. So why do I? Like let it go.
Yep. Okay. So that was number 4. Everyone is faking it. You should fake it too. Just have confidence in yourself. That's all you need. And you can pretty much do anything. And I truly mean that. Number 5 is smart people ask for help. And this was something that was quite the journey for me. I had quite an ego for most of my life. I guess still do sometimes. It's important to say that you have an ego. Otherwise, you have an ego. But I'll tell you another story here. There was a Twitter exec, very, very successful, very wealthy, who lived in my town. Super nice guy. And I bumped into him about 2 years after I left at the coffee shop. I was like, hey, man, you know, my name's Andrew. He's like, of course I remember you, which he didn't. But I appreciate that he lied. And all he did for 25 minutes was ask me questions. This guy has the nicest house in Marin County. He has his own venture fund. Like he's super well connected. He was like hanging out with all the rap artists at, you know, the conferences and stuff. Like there's nothing that he needs to learn from me. I promise you that. I'm as low on the totem pole as possible. But all he did was try to gain information from me because he learned that I worked at Apple. And maybe I could give him some intel for like his next investment. And that is what smart people do. Smart people ask questions. The more you think you know everything, the worse you're going to end up. And so this is, of course, what led me to hiring coaches and becoming a coach myself, is just this insatiable thirst for asking more questions, learning more things. And so whatever it is you're struggling with, I had a sleep coach. Was the first coach I ever had for my kids because I had no idea what I was doing. And it like literally changed my life. My kids started sleeping. So I started sleeping. So they were in better health. So I was in better health. We all had a better relationship. And I was like, this is an addictive behavior to hire a coach because you just become better and better. And I've had, I think, 7 or 8 coaches in the last 5 years. All I ever do is ask our business coach questions like constantly, maybe to the point of annoyance. I ask you questions all the time, Kat. Ask for help. That is what smart people do. There's no pride in figuring out alone. Zero. Like I am here in great shape as a founder of a business because I've been asking for help for 5 straight years. Like that's the only reason I'm here. It has nothing to do with anything innate for me. Like I said, mediocre grades at a mediocre college. There's nothing remarkable about me. You agree with that?
Yeah, Andrew is way better at asking questions than me. Like way better. I'm a curious person. Yeah. Oh. I'm more like I'm very curious and I want to know things, but I like Google, whatever, but you're so good at asking people. Like I think like that's not my like strongest thing. I tend to not like to ask for help, but I think you're so good at it and you're so free about it. Like I can tell you're not bothered by asking questions, where I'm kind of like my people pleasery thing kicks in, where I'm kind of like, am I annoying you by asking this? And also like it's about me, but sorry, like that's how I am. And I feel like you don't do that at all. And it's like, to me, always kind of stuck out as like a trait you have that I'm like, that's pretty awesome, which also makes you like a good networker and like you're so good at communicating. But I think like you do that very well and it inspires me to do more of that. But you know, maybe not even asking coaches aside, just be curious, like always want to know more things, like always try to learn. Like I'm always like, I Google shit all day long. I am so curious about all sorts of things. Like I'm just, and that's what's kind of awesome about smartphones is like, if you have a thought in your head of like, oh, I wonder what blah, 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 like you could Google it and get an answer right away. Whereas like before smartphones and like even the internet, like you just didn't know things you didn't know, where now it's like you can know anything you want.
Yep.
So
Yeah. It's crazy.
anytime where you feel stuck, like look into it or yeah, ask for help. And if you feel like there's a fear component to hiring a coach because you think they're going to judge you or shame you, that's exactly what you need help on, because that's an insecurity, that's a fear, that's you telling yourself like, this is exactly what I need help on because I'm afraid of getting feedback here because it's going to touch on something you don't want to go to, and like that's exactly why you need to do that.
Exactly. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
I guess all my coaches are the best coaches I've ever had. It's been so instrumental in my journey. But when I was at Apple, I was like, I need to be better at sales. And I've done all the cookie cutter trainings, not using filler words and stuff like that. I really wanted something personal to me. And so I found this coach, shout out to Mickey of the Elevate Way. She's the best. And I was telling her all my challenges, when I'm trying to close the deal, this is the whatever. And she was kind of like, back up. And we started from scratch. It had nothing to do with anything that I thought. It wasn't about the way my slides were ordered or the way I presented the offer. It was about me like being in touch with vulnerability and actually understanding on a compassionate level what the clients on the other side of the call actually needed. Mm-hmm. And we got so deep. At one point, she was like, I think actually the challenge is that you don't even love what you do. And you're so busy like talking about fitness and nutrition on the side that you don't care about ads. And it was one of the things that led me to where I am today. And so asking for help is not only going to, or being curious is not only going to get you to solve the problem that you're trying to solve, but it also might be a bigger picture thing that you didn't even know that you uncover. And so just hiring a coach to help me in my current role led me to become a small business owner, which is not my intention at any point. Mm-hmm. So it's just remarkable how many doors it can unlock by being curious.
Yeah, and that's a really good way to use your money. If you work a lot and you think you're super busy, like that's a fantastic investment that can, you would, like, it will always benefit you to hire a coach and ask for help in specific areas. Yeah.
You don't have time to teach yourself finance, nutrition, fitness, whatever your goals are, Spanish, whatever they are. It's just when you're working 40 hours a week, you don't have the time. So hire a pro, it'll get you there faster, or at least ask for some formal help, take a class, watch a YouTube video, listen to podcasts, whatever. Just be curious. Don't try to just, force your way through it. It's not going to go well. Ditch the ego, ask for help. It's what all the very successful people do. Our business coach has so many coaches. It's amazing how much money he spends on his own personal investment, which then trickles to us, which then trickles to our clients. And so it's just amazing. It's like a secret of people who are doing well is that they constantly are asking for more help so they can grow. And I think the people who really struggle are the people who continue to try to figure it out alone and don't ask for help.
Yep, for sure.
And this is something, by the way, just to shout out to our program. Whenever we do the calls with people, I'm always looking for that type of mindset is, are you curious? Are you open for help? And at the end of the call, people are always like, what makes someone successful in the program? And I'm like, the fact that you asked that question means you're ready.
Yeah.
The people who come on with a laundry list of excuses and never ask me any questions or never seem open to help are the people who we say, sorry, I'd love to help you, but you're not a fit. And so just having that mindset in general, even if you don't know who to ask or what to ask, can make all the difference.
Totally. I would not ever have a business of this size if it weren't for Andrew, like, helping me get okay with, like, asking for those things, or just, like, you are just such a catalyst for growth by the way, like, you do things. It helps me so much, but it also really helps our clients. You're just a lot more, like, you're very upfront about the need to ask for help and why coaches are, really beneficial, and that goes a really long way. So thank you for always, like, encouraging that message, because I think it's, like, not spoken about enough.
Yeah, good. And it's infectious too. Like, maybe you feel like the only one in your household who wants to do self-improvement. Just wait, and see how it trickles to your family and your friends. And it really is remarkable. We talked about goal setting already. It came up like on New Year's Eve. We're drinking with friends, like playing game night. And Leah and I were talking about our goal setting, and they're like, can you share that document with me? And like, they're doing goal setting. And so it just is amazing when you invest in yourself even a little bit, it just becomes infectious. And Kat, it's really amazing having a business partner because we constantly push each other. It's like a tennis match, you know? And so I really, if you feel alone, it's a great reason to put someone in your corner, like a coach, a mentor, or whatever, to help you continue to push yourself, because that is like, it's just a better life. I promise you that. That's why I wanted to share that today. So
Absolutely.
just to recap, quit your job, completely change your diet, stop working. No, I'm kidding. Just to recap, these are all like, ask yourself what's really important when it comes to your job. I think one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that I love my job. And I think we say that to ourselves because we think of the alternative of making less money or being unemployed, or maybe like working a job laying pavement. That sounds really crappy when it's raining outside, and sure, maybe you don't belong in construction, but ask yourself what you really want. Maybe your job isn't as important as you think, especially if you're having time prioritizing your health, your family, your travel, the stuff that's important to you. So that's number one. Number two, what you eat every day impacts everything. Not going to sit here and make a bunch of promises we can't keep, but I've seen it firsthand. I've also seen the research. Your mental health, your mood, your sleep, your energy, your confidence, it's all tied to your diet, and we can't pretend that it's not because we see it all the time. And so don't overlook what you might be missing on a daily basis. You're putting food into your mouth every single second of every day. If you have struggles, it could be tied to your diet. Number three, you're not too busy. You just need to reprioritize. Everybody's busy. It's the number one thing we hear. I completely sympathize. I was that person. I still am that person. But sometimes it just takes sitting down, setting some goals, eliminating distractions, being clear on what you want to get out of a day or a week or a month or a year. You know, setting your intentions for the year and not getting distracted. This is something we talk about a lot with our clients. We're like, well, I wanted to lose weight, but X happened. And yeah, we've seen some pretty tragic things in our program, and I would never wish it on anybody, but it's also like, this is life. It's not always going to be perfect. If you made a commitment to yourself to get healthy this year, then you got to find a way to do that. And so don't always fall in that excuse of being busy. Find a way to reprioritize. Number four, everyone is faking it. That's definitely true. If you don't think you're faking it, then you're just lying to yourself. Just be confident, make an informed decision, go at it with 100%, learn as you go. Don't be ashamed of yourself. We're all figuring it out. And number five is smart people ask questions, or smart people ask for help. Be curious. That's how you're always going to improve. It's really important to stay curious in everything you do, whether it's health or work or otherwise. And it can be in the form of a mentor, a business coach, a regular coach, a friend who's, farther ahead than you in something you do. It can be a resource that you trust, like a podcast, anything like that. It is amazing. The more you ask questions, the more you stay curious, how much you can grow. Kat, anything you'd add to any of those lessons?
No, I think those are amazing.
Okay, great. Well, I'm looking forward to your version of this, which we will do soon.
Oh, yeah.
If you ever have questions on any of this stuff, please send me a message on Instagram. You can find me on Instagram at Andrew Hayes Life, and you can find Kat at Kat Best Wellness. And don't quit your job just because I say so, everybody. But stay hydrated. Talk soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye.